It's a nice day, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm going to take a minute just to introduce myself. There's a lot of people here who want to talk today, you know. My name is Brian Shank. I'm the disc jockey here for today, providing the music. Justin asked me to just a kind of friendly reminder and talked about this. Mr. Pratt couldn't make it today. I know a lot of people are looking forward to hear him speak again, but unfortunately, scheduling issues, you know the deal. Again, safety briefing, please. If you're carrying a firearm, keep your fingers off the triggers. Let's not give anybody a reason to look at us more than they already do. If we have any protesters out here today, which I don't see any, don't engage them, because when you engage them, they win. And that's what we're here to talk about, is winning. And that's what we did. We won. Whoa! That's right. Now, I am one of the 8 that had to go to court with this fine gentleman here. And when I was looking through the paper, reading the articles about us, and looking at how they broke it all down, and my name was always last, and I couldn't figure if it was alphabetical or what. Then it came to me, I was the oldest one there. Okay, that's cool. I get it. I'm 50 and proud of it. So, you know, going through the court, it was kind of neat to be on the other side of the street. I served in the military as an MP. I got out of active duty Army. I was a city cop in Pittsburgh. And then I spent the last 20 years making sure that the criminals stay in prison. I've been a state corrections officer for the last 20 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I tell you what, it's really, really unique to be on the other side of the street, sitting in the court, in the box, attorneys squabbling over details. But I liked it. So I guess, you know, you look at your bucket list, you go, what did I do in my life? I've been on both sides of the street, I guess. So it's all good. Now, what I've got is what you guys want. I've got 2 boxes of 22 rounds here. I know, wait for it. I got a big one here to get rid of later. Now, if one person can tell me the answer to this question without using your smartphones, yeah, I know, I got one too. What year was the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag voted on by Congress and put into place? Anybody got a guess? If you're close, I'll give it to you.
1843.
Nope.
35.
Closer.
1952.
You're way off.
1885.
When?
1885.
That's when it was kind of written. That's good, though. You did your homework.
And I don't have a phone.
And you don't have a phone, but you got a long bayonet. No one's going to argue with you.
1889.
No. But I'll tell you what, the guy who said 52, I'm going to give him to him because he was the closest. It was actually 1942. Congress actually adopted it as law. So where's my guess of 1952? I think it was right here. Come up here. I got 2 boxes of 22. That's 100 rounds. I know those are like almost impossible to find these days. Don't shoot them all up at the same spot. Yeah, no problem. Now, I need everybody to take off their hats for me, please. I am assuming, as Americans, we all know the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, correct? You know, I was reading on Facebook how school districts are not doing it anymore, and I questioned my 13-year-old son that goes to Iroquois, and I asked him, do you guys do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? He said, yes, we do, every morning. So, the point is, there is hope out there for our school districts. So everybody, please, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Not just a couple people that can afford it. All. Now, there's a lot of unfortunate tragedies going on all over the world today. You know, a lot of things going on. So please, just a moment of silence for all those victims of shootings, mudslides, air crashes. Just a moment of silence just to reflect on the people that aren't with us today, please. Thank you. They all appreciate it. Now, if you guys have veterans that are overseas in some sandbox somewhere, make sure you send them something nice. We always appreciate that when we get something from our families. Don't forget them. Now, I've got this brick of 22s here. Now, the way this is going to work, I am not an auctioneer any way, shape, or form. The money is going to go for, trust me, we still have some fines to pay. Not fines, but bills to pay. So, I'm going to auction these off. Brand new, never been opened 22s. I know they're scarce. They're almost like on the endangered species list now. But I'm going to take the first bid of 20 bucks. Anybody want to give me 20 bucks? I got 20 bucks here. 25? 25? 30?
30.
What do you got?
30.
30? I got 30. 35?
40.
I got 40 here. If anybody want to beat 40 bucks? I got 40, 45. 45?
50.
50? Okay, we got a $50 bid. Anybody going to beat a $50 bid for a box of brand new 22s? Never been opened. $50 going once. $50 going twice.
52.25.
52.25. 52.25 is our highest bidder right now.
55.
$55 is our 100 bucks. Who's got a $100 bill that says that?
100 bucks, 303.
Well, our fine advertising from 303 Signs has got a $100 bill for this box of 22. Anybody want to beat that? Nope. Okay, $100 going once, twice, sold to the gentleman of the 303. Thank you. You know, it seems like June. Was it June? It was June. It was hot out here. Yeah, it was. But it's cool. It's been a long road. We've accomplished a lot. We rattled our sabers. Nothing against the fine gentlemen and ladies at the Erie Police Department, because we understand they're just doing what they're told to do. I know. I was just saying. It's called political correctness. You know, we have to try. Now, there's a guy that stood up, believed in us, fought for us. Thousands of emails, text messages. You know, if it wasn't for our attorney, Mr. Joshua Price, I'll tell you what, we would have paid that $220, some odd cents. We would have had this on our record that we're a bunch of criminals, which we're not. So the guy who fought the fight, and it was just absolutely amazing to watch him in court, you know, just spar with the city attorneys and have the city attorneys just faced, you know, try to use their bullshit Facebook blah blah blahs and legal that. But it was cool to watch. I wish you all could have been there, all 8 of us sitting in the jury box, like, you know, we just shot and killed somebody, but we just carried a firearm. So a nice warm welcome, please, for the guy who fought the fight and didn't back down, believed in us, Attorney Joshua Price.
Thank you. How's everyone doing?
All right.
Woo! It's a good day. The other night I was out at an event. It wasn't a firearms-related event, out in eastern PA, in a little small, quaint town. And this individual comes up to me and says, "I understand you handle firearms law." And I said, "I do." And he says, "Well, did you hear about this case up in Erie?" And I said, "Yeah, I've heard of it." And he says, "Wow," he says, "it's the first time that I can remember in a long time that the people fought the government and the people won." And I said, "That's absolutely right." And that's the truth. It's unfortunate that it had to happen. It's unfortunate that we had to take this case up to the Commonwealth Court. It's unfortunate that everyone here was subjected to the judicial system for no real reason. It's unfortunate that only now today, after all these months, has the ordinance been invalidated permanently.
Yeah.
A lot of people will make comments about attorneys always looking for money, always looking for the legal battle to pad their pockets. And that's not the case, at least with me. When Justin originally contacted me about this, I was concerned. And I know if you look on different web forums and that, you'll see that some will say that we were ill-prepared and weren't prepared for what arguments the city may make. But if you spend any time speaking with Justin, or if you want, more than happy to speak with me, we knew all the different legal issues that could be raised by the city, and we had prepared briefs in advance. In fact, the whole issue over footnote 9 was dealt with before the complaint was even filed. That's something very few people know about, because no one asks, and a lot of people make assumptions. There's also a lot of people who like to make comments without having read any of the legal pleadings, including the briefs that were filed. I can tell you we were prepared for footnote 9. And for those of you who aren't aware of what footnote 9 is, it is a footnote in the decision from the Commonwealth Court that basically suggested that a city may be able to regulate based on private property interest. Now, the interesting thing, and the reason why judges and courts are not supposed to address issues that are not before them, is that they don't have the benefit of briefs and the legal arguments on those issues to properly make determinations on those issues. And in footnote 9, the court cites to a DCNR regulation that suggests that in certain circumstances, individuals cannot have firearms on state game lands. Unbeknownst to the court, there was a whole separate section, section 6109M.3, that specifically says that no agency of the Commonwealth may regulate in any manner the possession of firearms and such in a manner inconsistent with the Uniform Firearms Act. The regulation the court cited to is an invalid regulation. And we knew this going in. We knew all the issues, and we were prepared to address them, and the city didn't even raise it. Yet the court, on its own, decided to interject itself into the decision. This is why it is so important, as we come upon an election cycle, to know who the individuals are that are running for office, let it be the legislature or let it be the judiciary. Many people don't realize that judges are brought up for retention every 10 years. Many people just vote for the judge that's already in. In fact, in the history of the Commonwealth, there's only been one time that a judge was not retained. And that was a Supreme Court justice right after he had approved the increase to judges' salaries. Unfortunate for him, he came up for retention that year when that approval was provided for. Other than that, there has never been an occasion where a judge has not been retained, and that's a serious issue. We are all failing one another in not knowing those who are on the bench and making these decisions. I don't know how many of you know, but there was a recent decision by the Superior Court, I think it was on April 1st, and it was an April Fool's Day joke almost, from the Superior Court, holding that in Philadelphia, if you merely open carry a firearm, that is reasonable suspicion and probable cause of a crime occurring. This is in direct contradiction to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's holding in Hawkins. Yet, the court did it. And the court doesn't even address Hawkins in its decision. And these are the types of issues that we need to be aware of as an electorate. We need to know who is running, who is going to be potentially retained, and whether they deserve to be retained. The judges that issued that decision one was a senior judge, so that really doesn't enter into the equation. But the other two were Ford Elliott, which is a past president judge, and Judge Wecht. These individuals previously issued a decision in a matter I handled, Keys, that upheld the fact that under our Uniforms Firearm Act, there was no right to expungement of a mental commitment, even though the legislature specifically gave to the trial court any power it deemed appropriate. The court couldn't explain what any power it deemed appropriate meant, but it could surely say it didn't include expungement. And there's a trend, if you look at judicial decisions, as to the judges that decide them and their positions. And it's time that we take back Pennsylvania. It's time that we spend the time meeting with our neighbors and those in the different civic organizations to which we belong, and explaining to them about those who are running. what their positions are. We are all negligent of not spending enough time making sure that we know who is running for any particular office. We all could have found 5 more minutes in our week to go out and speak to our neighbor, our friends, our family, anyone that we know about those who are running for office. And really today, what I want to really emphasize is the fact that we need to take that time. We had a decision here where specific key words were left out of the ordinance at play. Many of you probably aren't aware, but when Judge DeSantis issued his original decision in this matter, the words regarding possession and transport were noticeably left out of the decision that's cited to the ordinance. Those words were nowhere found in the ordinance, although they do exist in the ordinance. Could it have been an oversight? Could have been. Guess we'll never know. But it is concerning when the statutory preemption code specifically says that no municipality may regulate in any manner, among other things, possession and transport of a firearm. And those words that are found in the ordinance were not found in the decision he wrote. So with that, I'm going to, I believe, be turning it over to Pastor George, who's, thankfully, I got to come before him, because once you hear him speak, it's just like unlike anything you've ever heard. But I want to thank everyone out there who gave support to Justin and those who have become known as the Erie 8. I think we got to trademark that now, the Erie 8, because without them and their willingness to roll the dice on this issue, we wouldn't be here today. It is clear that the city intended to enforce its ordinance, and it did so by prosecuting them. More importantly, another tidbit that I don't know if many of you know, when the citations were issued, the criminal prosecution began. And we went in front of Magisterial District Judge Roby, and the city put forth all of its best evidence. The officers testified that although they saw people walking around with what they believed were guns, not once did they ask any of those individuals to look at their gun. They couldn't say whether any of the firearms actually had serial numbers, were firearms, or what they were. They could have been airsoft, and this was all testimony that was given right there under oath. And, oh yeah, by the way, the city also didn't decide to admit or ask for the court to take judicial notice that there even was an ordinance that precluded the possession of firearms in the park. And yet, all 8 were found guilty of violating an ordinance that the Commonwealth couldn't even establish by a preponderance of the evidence existed, or that there were even firearms here. So with that being said, I'm now going to turn it over to Pastor George to give one of his electrifying speeches.
This is what it's like every Saturday night. My brother and sister patriots, I am so glad to be here with you today to celebrate the crushing court victory that we have won against the socialist regime of Joe Sinnott and his crew of political lackeys, money-grubbing lawyers, and jackbooted police. And it is absolutely fitting that on this ground, dedicated to the hero of Lake Erie, Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry, that we repeat his immortal words, "We have met the enemy and they are ours." Even while I and others cried out, warning of the Gestapo-like tactics of the Erie police, from this very podium last June. They were busy photographing, taking down license plates, and recording all manner of personal information like some kind of junior branch of the NSA. Under the direct orders of the mayor, who he himself is influenced by an organization filled with the vilest sort of criminal element. That is to say, Bloomberg's Mayors Against Guns. This in an effort to stifle your rights enumerated under both the United States Constitution and the Constitution of Pennsylvania. And they were conferred to you not by man, but by God himself. Amen. Now, Mayor Sanat is proudly a member of Mayors Against Illegal Guns, which is more rightly called Mayors Against All Guns. This group, financed by liberal billionaire Michael Bloomberg, a man who on national television said the difference between a pistol and an assault rifle like an AR-15 is that with a pistol, every time you pull the trigger, it goes bang, 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 and with an AR-15, you just hold on the trigger and it goes brap. Now, these are the people who would like to be writing gun laws for our country. Sadly, this group is not only painfully uninformed, but quite nefarious. Now, people tell me that as a pastor, I am not giving enough Bible quotes from the podium, so here you have one. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says this: "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." Well, let's take a look at the kind of company Mayor Sanat is keeping. Mayor Richard Corky of Coaldale, Pennsylvania, a convicted pedophile. Mayor Pat M. Ahumida Jr. of Brownsville, Texas, a 3-time convicted driving while drunk. Mayor Gordon Jenkins of Monticello, New York, convicted of counterfeiting. Mayor Beth Flounsbaum Talabasco of Tamarack, Florida, official misconduct. Eddie Perez of Hartford, Connecticut, felony misconduct and corruption. Gary Becker of Racine, Wisconsin, another convicted pedophile. Sheila Dixon of Baltimore, Maryland, theft and perjury. Larry Langford of Birmingham, Alabama, bribery. David Delladonna of Gutenberg, New Jersey, tax evasion and extortion. Will Wynn of Austin, Texas, assault. And Mayor Terry Mack of Trenton, New Jersey, bribery. And the list goes on and on and on. And these are the people who proudly proclaim that we must have mandatory universal background checks in order to buy a gun. You know what I think? I think they should have mandatory universal background checks before you're allowed to run for mayor. Yeah. Or perhaps maybe just a United States birth certificate before you run for president. Yeah. Though today we celebrate a victory in court over the would-be police state that the oath breakers of the Erie Police Department would have instituted, one can only imagine what they might be doing with all of the personal information, addresses, names, and other identifying marks of not only the Erie 8, but everyone at the rally last year. I wonder what sort of sneaky, nefarious database that information has found itself into. The NSA? FEMA? Department of Homeland Security? Perhaps all of them, making it much easier to identify which doors to kick down when the confiscation of your guns becomes the law of the land. Now, you may think that this could never happen here, but just last week I was up in Hartford, Connecticut with nearly 10,000 fellow patriots who are... And they're facing that very real possibility today. And you want to... Their word to their government is, live free or die. Thomas Jefferson said, "The laws that forbid the carrying of arms are of such a nature. They disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit such crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage rather than prevent homicides. For an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man." Consider it now. Over 200 years ago, Thomas Jefferson knew to be true what we know to be true today, that more guns equals less crime.
Yeah.
Even though we're at an open carry rally, the facts are very clear that since the advent of the majority of states in this country adopting what are known as shall issue concealed carry laws, that the rates of murder and violent crime have dropped dramatically over the last 20 years. Insanely enough, murder capital USA, Chicago, has seen a 17% drop in murders since the first carry permits were issued just a few months ago. In fact, let me read this article to you from the Chicago Tribune from April 5th. A 53-year-old South Austin man with a valid concealed carry permit. We gotta have a cheer for a valid concealed carry permit in Illinois. Was able to shoot two men who tried to accost him outside of his home early this morning. The incident happened at 2:40 a.m. at the 5400 block of West Van Buren Street, said the Chicago Police Department News Affairs Officer Michael Sullivan. The man was walking from his garage to the front of his home when two males in hoodies. Wow. Criminals committing crimes in hoodies. Sounds like a flashback to me. They appeared in a gangway between his home and his neighbor's home, Sullivan said. One of the men pulled a handgun from his waistband and pointed it at the man, who then took out his own gun and managed to fire several times at the males. The males fled the area, the newspaper says, without being struck, but we don't know that, do we? And the shooting did not result in any property damage, police said. It also did not end with him being shot. It did not end up with him being robbed. It ended up with the bad guys running tail and leaving. Sadly, because there were no guns at a school just north of here, there are 20 hacked up school children recovering in a hospital. And that just proves to you, ladies and gentlemen, that in this country we do not have a gun problem. We have a mental health problem. Had the mayor of Erie bothered to do even a little bit of historical research, he would have known that our right to defend ourselves does not end at the boundary of a park. Now, my understanding of this ordinance is that originally it was passed to prevent hunting in the park in the middle of the city.
Squirrel!
Okay, all you ADD guys, relax. Now, why is it that liberals always bring up hunting whenever they talk about gun rights? Now, personally, and I've mentioned this before, I do not hunt. I've been hunting. I don't like hunting. I don't like sitting in a tree in December before the sun comes up. If that's something you like to do, God bless you, and I hope you keep doing it. I do like venison. I'll give you my address later. And you know what? I got guys all over the place that like to go hunting, but they use a bow and arrow. We got any archery hunters out there? A couple of guys, right? So that just proves to me that hunting and guns have no real relationship. Our founding fathers would have thought it foolishness to even bring the subject up, since back in that day, everybody hunted because that's how you put meat on your table. No, the reason for the Second Amendment is to ensure that we might never fall under the yoke of tyranny, nor ever have any less than a ready defense of our lives and property, and that is our God-given right. Make no mistake, the ultimate goal of socialists like Obama, Biden, Holder, Feinstein, Bloomberg, and Snot is to disarm the populace that they may be ruled over rather than governed. Let our message be loud and clear. We do not submit to tyranny. Will you submit?
No!
Will you submit?
No!
Will you submit?
No!
We do not have kings or emperors or dictators. Here, this is America, a nation founded on freedom, on liberty, and independence. We were given our rights to defend our way of life by means of a gun, if necessary, by our Creator God, and no man, no matter how misguided, nor whatever office that he might hold, is able to take that away. Now, before I take my leave of you today, I want to share with you one last quote from Commodore Perry. On September 10th, 1813, Perry raised his battle flag, which said simply, "Don't give up the ship." Against insurmountable odds, Perry, aboard the USS Niagara, for the first time in history, forced the British squadron to surrender. It was through grit and determination that Perry was victorious. And it is through grit and determination that the American patriot will see victory over the ill-conceived imaginings of liberal gun grabbers. I suspect they do not have the stomach for the fight that they started. But I am sure that you do. Are you willing to fight to the end?
Yeah!
Will you give up the ship?
No!
Are you prepared for victory?
Yeah!
You want our guns? Mullen Lobby! Come and take them! I want Vicky and Blue to come up here for a minute. I got a little something I want to give to Josh. Joshua Prince is a friend of mine. He's on a radio show with me on Saturday nights. If you haven't heard it, listen in on Spreaker, okay? This is only a taste. Joshua put in hour after hour after hour working on this case. And you know what? If it wasn't for him, the case law that was preserved in our state that changes municipalities across the state, it's not just about Erie, guys. It's about the whole state. This is about us winning a victory against people like mothers demanding some action. And I'd like to present to him, on behalf of gun rights across America and the patriots across this state, a copy of the Commodore Perry flag that flew over the USS Niagara. Don't give up the ship. It's all yours, Jason. Whatever.
Hello guys, thank you guys for coming out. I still can never beat his speech at all. Again, if you guys didn't know, my name is Justin Dillon. I am the founder of Open Carry Pennsylvania. I am glad to be here today. Bear with me while I find my notes. As many of you know, we did a preemption case here in Pennsylvania for firearm laws here. The city didn't like that at all. As many of you are aware, back 2 years ago I was stopped for openly carrying. I decided then to have a little get-together where then prompted me to start an organization, where I'm at now with Open Carry. Then we decided to hold several rallies in Perry Square where we're standing today. Well, they didn't like us at one point in time and decided to take us to court because they felt that it's too dangerous for American citizens that have the right to carry concealed or openly, not to be bringing it into the parks. I disagree. I think majority of the times when things happen, it's in the park. As many of you are aware, earlier yesterday I was here with a group of individuals cleaning up the park before the rally, just something to do. As I'm cleaning up with a few other people, we witnessed an assault happen right in front of us. The guy was laid out on the ground. We called 911. They came over and dealt with the problem. So, I mean, that's a prime example why I carry a firearm and why I shouldn't have to take it off when I cross a sidewalk or imaginary gun zone. I don't understand where they get with this. Well, here we are after January 7th, after our victory. I am glad to be here. A lot of you don't know that I'm actually very fortunate and blessed to even be standing here due to basically I had a very bad double pneumonia, which laid me out in the hospital for over a month and a half, which almost took my life twice. So I'm very fortunate to even be here, because I would have passed away before I would have even known I even won the case. So if you bear with me, I will read my little letter and then I'll hand it off to the next person. I'm really bad at public speeches. I'm still working on that. Okay. I would like to thank you for coming out and joining us for this rally. It's been a long road to this day, but I have been told whatever I put my heart to, there is nothing that can't get done. I would like to thank the NRA for the funding and the support with this fight. I would also like to thank Joshua Prince for taking the time to represent us all. I would also like to thank each and every one of you all for the support that you have given us. I have to tell you, only being 27 and making my footsteps known makes me happy to know I have done something more than standing by. I did not do this just for me or any kind of fame, but I did it for all of you here today and the others that could not make it. It's one thing to start a group on Facebook, it's another to stand up when backed up into a corner and fighting your way out. I prove that if I can do it, so can you. I am happy to have the speakers I have here today. As you see, we are together and we are not divided. And this is how it should be. The fight is bigger than any one of us here, and I would like to look back and tell my son that I have done as much as I could to save our rights and our freedoms. Today, I hope you listen to these speakers and take something from today. I want to tell you guys, before all this and the court case, I was like the rest. I sat back and did nothing more than send out emails and make phone calls to try to keep my rights. Then I woke up and saw the light and came out of the shadows and made the stand. I put myself out there. I stood tall, it was stressful, and I had a little bit of rest. But I became a better person from all this. I will keep fighting and hope that the people will stand up and support grassroots more. That stand up and make a stand. I said for years we all need to come together and help each other, because the more we stay divided, the more we lose this fight. As you see today, I have people from as far away support as grassroots go, and there are from different organizations. They're here not only for me, but for you. Each one of these people play a part in us keeping our rights. Also, I would like to take a second to thank the NRA again, because if it was not for them, this case would have never happened. I would not be where I am today. So for my next speaker, I would also like to thank Josh again for taking the time. Countless hours, court battles, driving up here, driving back down, then coming back up the next day, which was not great. I have Blue, if you want to come up here. Blue is from Lehigh Valley Open Carry. You can visit him on his webpage on Facebook, and he'll talk to you more about his organization and why he's up here.
Erie!
Congratulations. To Justin, thanks for having me come out. To Josh Prince, congratulations on the court case. Like Justin said, I'm the founder of LVOC, Lehigh Valley Open Carry. We're out in the Allentown area. I founded it after my wife was thrown out of a giant food store for carrying a gun. They had no sign on the door, and they've had a written policy since '09, and they refused to post it. I offered to buy signs and hang them myself. The answer was still no. equally as unacceptable as that is using the power and authority of an office or position to deny the people's rights while intentionally and unconstitutionally violating simple laws like 6120. Does it sound familiar?
Yep.
They thought that Justin Dillon and OCPA would go away. They thought LVOC and Attorney Prince would go away. They thought Pastor Cook would go away. And they thought you would go away.
Hell no.
Well, guess what, Erie? Guess what, Pennsylvania? We're not going anywhere. We're going to go into every township and every city and every borough in this state and educate people about firearms and their rights and change communities like we've done here.
Yeah!
Lehigh Valley Open Carry was founded under a creed to be the alternative to gun control. We believe that using education, information, training, and the community, we can make gun control obsolete. So many Pennsylvanians don't know about firearms, how to use them, or their rights in regards to them. Just yesterday, before I came to meet Pastor to drive out here, I met a man while buying coffee who asked me if my SIG P229 was an open carry firearm. He didn't know that open carry was a way to carry. He actually thought they made guns specifically for that purpose. Yet this man conceal carries a $1,200 Kimber and admits that he carries it without a round chambered in the gun because, quote, "it is just not safe. That's how you end up shooting yourself."
Not so much.
I'd say we have a problem.
Hey, carried a short stick.
But apparently this is a common thing. I've met many other folks in the same boat. We responsible gun owners must educate the public, even the ones that don't like us, and get out the correct information and proper training. Like, I don't know, ghost guns don't exist? There's too much propaganda and poor training leading folks to becoming anti-gun or not so pro-2A. I'm sure you all know a few of those. But that's just one part of the equation. The other part is standing up like Josh and Justin and all of you did and the Erie 8 have, and fighting when the other side thinks they know better. When they think they know how the best way is to clean up a city or to keep our kids safe. That's a load of bullshit and you shouldn't take it. Only we know how our communities and children shall and will remain safe. That's the America that I remember. That's my America. It reminds me of a story from the Great Depression. There was a guy, he worked real hard his whole life. The Great Depression came along, lost his job, lost everything he had. And finally one day, he snuck onto a job site and he was noticed by the foreman almost immediately. The foreman asked him when he had started because he didn't recognize him. The employee said, "Okay, you got me. But please let me stay, I'll work for free. I just want to be worth the dirt on my hands." That is America.
Yeah!
It's stories like these that drive me to never quit, Justin, Pastor George, Joshua, and everyone else you'll see up here today. And it should drive you as well. It's stories like these that brought me here from Allentown. It's stories like these that sent me to Connecticut last weekend. It's why we must always bring the fight to them and go wherever it is.
That's right.
No more erroneous gun laws, no more illegal ordinances, no more registrations, and to hell with confiscation.
Yeah!
We are the people, and we must not comply. But before I go, look around at the Americans standing next to you. How do you want to be remembered? Seriously, look around. How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be a state of patriots that pulled together and beat a city? Do you want to be a state of patriots who educated and trained thousands? Do you want to be like the man in the Great Depression who just wanted to be worth the dirt on his hands? Or would you rather be a pathetic tyrant cop suckling on the tits of a city and a mayor who enforce unconstitutional laws? Ask yourself that. Thank you.
My next speaker is Maria Heil of the Board of NRA.
Yeah! Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me here today. I thank all of you for being here on this gorgeous Saturday. It's about time. Just to give you a short history of my life, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. But I met and married a Pittsburgh guy, and he helped me to escape. Of course, he didn't say yins until after we said I do. But thanks to my husband, he's the one who that's why I am where I am today. He introduced me to firearms, he introduced me to hunting, and he introduced me to the Second Amendment. And he signed me up as an NRA member. And if anybody's interested,